All right, so the purpose of this video is to update you on the Smart Denture Conversions protocol. We're going to call this Smart Denture Conversions 2.0. All right, so they're going to see a lot of similarities, but you'll see some significant differences that make this even better than it was before. And a lot of these I've been working on with my team for over 2 years. And I've been so anxious to introduce you guys to these improvements. So without any further ado, let me just kind of give you the lay of the land here, and then I'll go through the process. We're going to do this video a little bit differently than we've done the other ones, where it's just going to be continuous right through so you can see the fluidity of the protocol. And then you can rewind and see parts that you didn't quite understand at your own convenience. All right, so this is the patient. This is not a stone model. Yes, I know it's a stone model, but we're going to treat it like a patient because Smart Denture Conversions is not intended to be, certainly can be used benchtop, but it's intended to be used in the mouth for absolute clinical efficiency and convenience. So we're going to call this my patient. This is the patient's denture, and before I started, I just took this burr from Kerr. It's an inverted cone burr. It's about 11 millimeters cutting length, 6 millimeter cutting width. And so I just take this and I trough out the intaglio of that denture so that from the bone, it's going to be at least embedded into the denture, at least half the cutting length of this burr. This is almost the full length of that burr. Now, I do that so that I know that at the time of surgery, I'm not going to have to do a lot of modification to the denture, and you'll see that in just a moment. So we're approaching this as if the implants are in, the abutments are now in place, and now we're going to start our conversion process. We're still open flap. Anybody who's ever seen me teach, I prefer doing open flap because it's more efficient for the patient. And I'm all about efficiency for the patient's sake, even if it comes at a cost to me. So the first step is once the abutments are in place, we're going to take this silicone dam, and you'll notice this is a little bit different than what I've promoted in the past. This dam has a silicone side and then a vinyl adhesive. So I'm going to take the vinyl side against the multi-unit abutments, just line this up as best I can, and I'm going to press down into that vinyl and create some indentations, just like I did before with the paper backing. But the vinyl is a lot easier to use and a lot easier to read in a clinical setting. So now that I've got these indentations, I take our hole punch, and I'm just going to punch through those indentations. And I'm going to leave this vinyl backing in place until I'm ready to put this in the patient's mouth. But I want to show you just why we do that imprint into the vinyl is so that the holes line up perfectly with that multi-unit abutment without the material having to fold over itself. So I'm just going to set that to the side for now. And this is what I've been excited to introduce you to. These are called pre-coated TiBases. Inside, you'll see the threaded post, but instead of having a peak cap holding this in place, you'll see it's a polycarbonate from the pre-coat that's holding that threaded post in place. So it's going to be a lot easier to retrieve than the peak caps were in the past. And you don't have to pre-coat because it's already pre-coated. Now, we also have these polycarbonate handles that make it easier to handle. Now, just a caution about these pre-coated parts. They're pre-coated with polycarbonate. BizGMA, Bizacryl are not going to bond to polycarbonate. I highly, highly, highly recommend using polymethyl methacrylate as your pickup material for these cases. One of the reasons why is because polymethyl methacrylate bonds very well with polycarbonate. So we're at the point now where we get to just screw this in place onto those multi-unit abutments. And these polycarbonate handles just are very convenient to hold it in place. And you don't have to keep them on. Now I'm just going to snap that polycarbonate handle away. And we're ready to do our pickup almost. Just going to make sure that that's got nice It's got some nice retention there. So now I just kind of pull on this and stretch that silicone, and that helps separate the vinyl. So now I just peel that vinyl away, and I'm going to make sure that I keep track of which surface of the silicone was in contact with this vinyl, because that's the part that needs to go against the bone when I place the abutment. I'm sorry, when I place the silicone dam in place, and slip it down along those abutments. And just like that, we are ready to test fit our prosthesis, test fit our denture over these TiBases, and prepare for our pickup. Now, if I've done the denture modification ahead of time properly, then there's not going to be any need for us to modify the denture at all before we do our pickup. All right, so now I'm just going to test fit this, and sure enough, I've got all the space I need. It's not binding on those TiBases at all, so we're ready to proceed with our pickup. So this rapid set acrylic is something I'm absolutely in love with. It sets up in the mouth in about 3 minutes, so it's really fast. It polishes very nicely, and it has a very, very good match to the popular denture base color. So I really like this rapid set acrylic, available at smartonx.com. I'm going to put the monomer into a pill cup, and then I'm going to put this polymer into a pill cup. And the nice thing about this particular acrylic is it's pre-dosed. So the monomer and the polymer are pre-dosed to be the appropriate ratio. I don't have to think about anything. I just get to dump the acrylic powder into the liquid, mix it, and you'll see that it's nice and runny. That's good because it's going to help me just get a good mix. And then I've pre-cut my Monoject syringe. There's a little chunk there. I've pre-cut my Monoject syringe so that I can just suction that acrylic into my Monoject syringe. And now, just while it's still kind of thin, I'm going to get it into the intaglio of that denture. And I'll wait maybe like 30 seconds, 20 seconds. I'm waiting for this material to get to a stringy stage. So I'm going to just do some test injections to make sure that I can make a Hershey's Kiss. And that's how I know that I'm in that stringy phase. So here I'll just do a little test, put a little glob in there, and then pull up. And you see how it gives me like that little Hershey's Kiss? That's awesome. So now I'm going to go and place this into the patient's mouth, right over these TiBases, these pre-coated TiBases. Now I come back and I just overfill my denture. And now it has to pass what I call the Dairy Queen test. So it's not oozing on me and it's not running on me. Now I can go to the patient's mouth and have the patient close into the intaglio of the denture while seating the mandibular denture up against the maxillary opposing dentition and closing the patient's jaw into the intaglio of the denture. That's what ensures I get absolutely perfect occlusion during my pickup. It's wonderful. So now, benchtop, this material will take a good 5 minutes to set, but in the mouth, it's only 3 minutes. So yeah, you do have to work very quickly. We're going to use a little bit of movie magic to expedite this demonstration, but just know benchtop, it takes a little bit longer than it does in the mouth. Now I'm going to just trim away some of this excess acrylic. You can do this clinically. You just peel that away. I don't open the patient until I'm more into this doughy stage, which I'm at right now. So I could open the patient up and then just real quickly get rid of some of this excess acrylic. And now this material will throw off some heat as it goes from the rubbery to set phase. And so you just have to be ready with some irrigation. So we use refrigerated saline in monoject syringes for our irrigation. And you don't have to do it the whole time, but just when it's going from this rubbery, right now it's still rubbery, but as it's going from rubbery to set, it's going to kick out that heat, and that's when you start irrigating. So I can feel it now, and this is where we would be irrigating. All right, so now the material is set, and it's ready for us to release from the multi-unit abutments. And so we're going to use what looks like a periosteal elevator. This is actually a wax spatula. That's why it's got the burn marks on it, but pretend it's your periosteal elevator. And so we're just going to come underneath the flange here, and we're just going to either pry or give it a little twist, and then come to the other side and just give it a little twist, and that'll pop it right off. And now I'm going to just make sure that those damn donuts don't go down the throat. And here you see I've got the threaded post in the multi-unit abutments. So I'm going to take my silicone dam out, and I'm going to place my press-on caps in place. They just press on. And now I'm going to contour this prosthesis and then create my screw channels after the fact. And I'm really excited for you to see the improvement in that protocol in removing the fragment out of the TiBase. It's awesome. And I thank Nick Egbert, prosthodontist out of Salt Lake City. He's also got a training site called implantability.com. Amazing. I highly recommend you go check him out. He's the one who taught me, the developer of the system. He taught me how easy it is to get the head of the separable fastener out of the TiBase. So I can't wait to show you that. Meanwhile, we would suture up to these press-on caps. I'm going to go ahead and just now show you how to remove the press-on caps. You can either do it by hand, where you just unscrew it, and then that fragment comes out. Okay. You can use an Explorer tip, or you can use like a driver. We have our low torque driver that these are made perfectly for. Again, that fragment comes right out. You can also use an Explorer tip. You can even use like a periosteal elevator and just unscrew it. But usually I find just using my hands is plenty easy enough. So now all of those threaded posts are out of the multi-unit abutments, and we would be ready to now deliver the finished prosthesis. All right, so here we are now with the prosthesis contoured, and if this was a clinical case, and I'd open this void right here and backfill it with a little bit of acrylic, just salt and pepper. Got a void right here, got a void right here. So, but for the sake of time and the purpose of this video is really just to demonstrate the workflow and the changes from the original Smart Denture Conversions protocol. So I'm going to go right into the screw channel creation. So we've got our pilot drill. This is all the same. So just pilot through the intaglio of that TiBase. There we go. So then we're going to go to our access drill and open up that pilot hole. So here you can see the pilot holes here, 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 and here. Now we just open this up. Going down through that TiBase there. Then you hear that little change right there, and then we just kind of tap, 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 tap. That's that drill bumping up against the top of the TiBase. Can you see that, Cameron? So that tap, 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 that's very important for just making sure that you get the TiBase nice and cleaned out. Now I want to teach you something that I learned from Dr. Nick Egbert, prosthodontist out in Salt Lake City, Utah. He taught me that with an NSK handpiece, you can get that clearance drill from Smart Denture Conversions drill kits. The clearance drill will actually fit into that handpiece enough that you can turn your handpiece down to 5,000 RPM and then just use this to clean out that TiBase. And then the leftover polycarbonate just comes right out. So it's just that low RPM, just go into that TiBase. You feel the moment that the drill engages that polycarbonate, and it just brings it right out. So easy. There's that junk. And there we go. So now we can deliver it to the patient. Using our prosthetic screws, but first I'm going to just check to make sure that the prosthetic screw goes all the way through that TiBase. And they do. So then we go to the patient's mouth. And here you can see us screw it down onto those multi-unit abutments, real easy like. And last one. And here we have a beautifully fitting, beautifully contoured, provisional restoration that looks like you'd expect a definitive restoration to look. And this is a bone-based model, so that's why you see all that space there between the intaglio of the prosthesis and the model itself. So you have to imagine that that's filled in with soft tissue, because what this is bone-based. All right, that's Smart Denture Conversions 2.0. And the huge improvements there are the silicone dam and then also the pre-coated TiBases, and then the clean out process with the NSK handpiece and the clean out drill at 5,000 RPM. Holy smokes. The combination of all of those improvements just make this even better than I thought it was. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you give it a try. Thanks for your time. Thanks for joining us.